Hello, and welcome to the Creative Network. So, my name is Richard Tomlinson. I work at an organisation called Somerset Film, based in Bridgewater, in Somerset. And Somerset Film runs a project called Ignite Somerset. And Ignite Somerset, it's all about working with artists in the county and to explore the the creative potential, even, of digital technology. And on that project, I get to meet all sorts of interesting people, and we do artists support sessions, advice sessions. And one of the things that we regularly do every month is the Creative Network. So the Creative Network is brought to you by Ignite Somerset, which is a Somerset film project, and the project's managed by Arts Council England. And this month, it's the first Creative Network of the year, and we're going to meet an artist called Nadja. And I met Nadja, I think, last summer. We were shooting some photographs, actually, of a project. I was shooting some photographs of a project that she was involved in. And I remember we met, I think, in Highbridge. It was a lovely summer's day. And I think lockdown had been eased, and there was a sense of kind of optimism, which was lovely. And we shot some really lovely photographs, actually. And Nadja was involved in a project that was being managed and funded by Seed Sedgemoor. You can find out more about Seed Sedgemoor by going to, I'll tell you, their website is seedsedgemoor.com. Find out all about the wonderful projects that Seed are involved in. So that was when I first met Nadja, and I asked her a week or two ago, would you be willing to chat at the very first Creative Network of 2021? And she agreed that she would. So I'll get her out of the green room, and we'll meet her. So here we go. Here we are. Hopefully I'll find her in a moment. I'll find her in a moment. Just give me a sec. See, this is the great thing. I'm the creative technologist at Somerset Film, and I'm just struggling to get this to work. Hang on a moment. Here she is. Hey, hello, Nadja.
Hello, Rich. We made it.
We did. We're here, and we're going out live. And thanks for joining us. So I met you, and you were working on the Seed Sedgemoor project. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about that project? We're going to look at a little video clip as well, because it was a video filmmaking project. And then I'd like to sort of just delve into your archive a little bit and talk about some of your previous work. So the project, the Seed Sedgemoor project, what was it called, and what was it all for?
Okay, it was called Moments of Stillness. The idea was to take one of your get this around the right way, Rich.
Yeah, we're right.
The idea was to one of the things we were allowed to do in lockdown was take walks, and the other thing that happened in lockdown, obviously, was that as everything ground to a halt, everything human kind of ground to a halt, nature suddenly kind of took over, and we had birds singing everywhere, clear skies, etc. It was really, really beautiful. So my idea was that people could stop and appreciate what they see around them. You know, it really gave us an opportunity to stop for a while and not be rushing around. So if we stopped and took a little short video, up to a minute, I think it was, of what you just see in front of you, a little bit of nature. It could be on a street, you know, a weed on a pavement or whatever, anything which catches your eye. And that was the idea of it. One thing that I found when I started doing this was that it was really good for me. It really sort of made me appreciate nature, and it also just gave me that chance to stop. It was good for my well-being, good for my mental health. It was stopping and looking and appreciating something other than, you know, all the worries and everything that we had on our heads. So the idea then was for people to share their videos online on Facebook, And then at the end of it, we could create a film of some of those videos as a sort of record, and also as a piece of work that can be shown in the community to people who don't necessarily have online access.
Yes.
So it could be on a DVD, or it could be shown in a community centre when we can go to community centres.
Yeah. Yes.
Etc. Doctor surgeries, etc.
Yeah.
So that's it really in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? So it's kind of, we think that we spend too long looking at our screens and our phones, and we worry about how if we use this too much, that in of itself is affecting our mental health possibly. You are encouraging people to go out there and gaze at the world through their phone, and to document it and to share it with you, and you're in the process now of pulling all that material together.
Well, it's been put together now. It's ready actually to go out. I'm just waiting for the sort of okay from Seed, and they're going to help with the distribution of it. So it's going to be on YouTube as well, so to be accessible to a lot of different people.
Perfect. And I understand you worked with a musician.
I did. Daniel Birch,
Yeah.
music and sound designer. Lovely
Yes.
guy, really lovely to work with.
Yeah.
And that was inspiring in itself, because the addition of that, there were problems obviously when you've got a lot of different videos, and they're not taken all on the same kind of camera or whatever, and there's lots of different extraneous sounds. So we needed to really make it smoother and work better as a whole. So sound design and music that Daniel did is absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, there is a 1-minute segment that you've shared with me, and you're allowing us to share it with the world right now.
Yeah.
Great. So let's have a look at that, and I think people will get a sense of the project, and there's two things I think that strike me about it. It's the community participation, and just the optimism of it, I suppose. Let's have a quick look at this 1-minute segment. We might revisit it again at the end. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, back to us, Nadja. That's really powerful. I'm really looking forward to seeing the full version. How long do you think the film will be?
The longest version, there are 4 different versions, including the taster. The longest version is actually 37 minutes. It was surprising, but it works really well. I thought, 30 minutes would be enough, but actually it's okay. And there's a 15-minute version and a 5-minute version.
Okay.
For kind of etc.
Okay. And I imagine it's going to be even more powerful at this time, isn't it, to watch something like this? And I suppose in a way it's just that simple pleasure of looking, isn't it, and gazing. It's all, am I correct? It's all nature. It's all about the natural world.
It's all nature.
Yeah.
There's no people was one of the stipulations for various reasons, but one was really not to look at, much as you love your children or whatever. We didn't want videos like that. We wanted people to look at something different, look at something outside of the normal.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, well, more about Seed, if you visit seedsedgemoor.com, you can find out more about their projects. And I noticed there's a segment on the project you were working on that website. Can we just chat a little bit about some of your stuff from the archive?
Sure.
We'll probably be interrupted shortly by Daniel Birch, the musician you worked with, sound designer rather. Sorry, Daniel. And he's going to chat to us a little bit about the process of making that score. So at any moment we might hear the phone ringing, and I'll answer it, and we'll chat to him too. So Nadja, we can find out more about you. Can I mention your website?
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it's nadjaphotography.co.uk. So that's NADJA photography.co.uk. And you studied photography how many years ago?
Oh, I graduated in 2010,
20,
so came
too long ago.
came quite late.
Okay. And that was that local? Was that in Bristol?
It was UWE.
Yeah. Okay. So I've had a look at your website earlier today, and I've just pulled out a few little quotes, and I want you just to unpack them a little bit for me, if that's all right. Don't want to put you on
Yeah.
the spot. So, I mean, it's particularly interesting for me. My background's in photography as well, and sort of using film, and it's kind of interesting starting with the Moments of Stillness project in a way, because that's all digital. It's mobile phones, and it's kind of interesting. So that was probably interesting from your perspective, having used film and darkroom practice and so on. Anyway, you say, I prefer to use film, but this was maybe 10 years ago. This might have been what you were thinking 10 years ago, but I prefer to use film as I see the process from film to negative to printed image as a metaphor for transformation, as well as giving authenticity to the images themselves. So what do you mean by transformation there, Nadja? Are you talking about the process of perceiving the world versus perceiving the world through pictures of it? Is that the theory there?
Well, yeah, it is actually in a way. I do see the whole dark room. I still love the dark room process. I like fumbling around in the dark. I don't know, I'm odd like that. I suppose perhaps it's something to do with not quite knowing what you're going to get. Whereas with digital, it's like it's a different kind of thing, that you do sort of know what you've got already. Whereas with film, you don't. But there's a process of transformation in that in itself, from going from the light that comes from an image through a camera onto a negative, and then through the enlarger onto a print. It's like a real transformation. It's an alchemical sort of process. Or it feels like that to me. It's a creative process you can put your hands on, which digital stuff sort of isn't really. Digital seems to me to be more illusory or transient.
Yeah.
It seems quick and sort of, there's an image, there's an image, there's an image, there's an image. But there's also this perception of film images as being more true or more real because they're on a film or a negative. But all images really are a kind of subversion, aren't they? Because, as soon as you focus in on one thing, you're cutting out everything else. Yeah. All film, all image, everything really comes from the eye or the point of view of the photographer. And I guess we all just change, how everybody sees the world in a slightly different way because we've got a different point of view. So everything is filtered and transformed. Anyway, so transformation happens in all sorts of different ways when you're looking at images. And I was particularly talking about the wild ones, which is on my website, because that was about changing the perception of what you're looking at to see something completely different. And photographing the objects which had already been sort of weathered and decayed, so they transformed anyway. And then the way that I photographed them and used the film, etc., meant that they transformed yet again into something you recognized it as something else to what it actually was.
So okay, so I wonder whether I've prepared. I think, is it the wild ones you're referring to there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
particularly.
I hope I've got some of those in this presentation that I've got. But I'm going to start. We're going to have I love all that stuff. All that photo theory stuff is really interesting.
Yeah.
And
I
you
had to
know,
dig it out a bit, from the past,
it's
but yeah, it's
well,
there still.
I expect that anybody with your kind of interest and training and education, there is that sense of digging it out now, isn't there? Because not many people spend that much time in the dark room anymore. But yeah,
No.
I it is interesting, that whole idea of the light in the photograph is the same light that emanated from the person that was photographed 100 years ago. It's kind of ghosts
Yeah.
of the past, and all that is really interesting. But we're actually going to look at the start with some photographs that surprised me, actually, because I think I thought I knew about your work, and then I saw these images. Is it called Western Racers?
It is, yeah. Of
Okay, is it okay to show a few of these photographs?
course it is, yeah.
These can be seen on Nadia's website too. Um, so I'll go through a few of them, and tell us about this project.
Okay. This was I became a bit obsessed with boy racers. Um, there were a lot of them about at the time, and I wanted to know a bit more about them, really. So I found out that there was a group of people that congregated together at McDonald's in Weston. And I went along a few times and got to know them a little bit, and made some images from their amazing cars. Some people spent £35,000
Wow.
changing their cars. I know, I mean, amazing. But I also took photographs of a scrapyard of some of the accidents, because some of the lads, and they're women and men actually, both, had friends that died in accidents because they went a bit too fast. That last one, this one with the strange lights, is actually me going for a ride with one of the racers.
Wow.
From inside their car. It was a bit like a fairground over there. There was an element of that in it. There was such a lot of fun, and they were so dedicated to their cars. It was really interesting. The guy that took me for a ride wouldn't go faster than 30 miles an hour through Weston Street, because obviously he loves driving his car, so he didn't want to lose his license.
Okay.
So I changed my mind actually quite a lot about how, about, well, what I would normally call a petrol head.
Yeah.
It changed my mind because it was really creative as well,
Yeah.
and it was fun.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a really interesting project to do.
So how old are these pictures, Nadia?
Oh, they're quite old. Let me think. Gosh, I keep forgetting we're in 2021, so they're
Yeah.
10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that well, and is this still something that happens in Western? Well,
I
maybe not.
actually don't know. I'm not sure, because I've not been there at night recently.
Yeah.
But the police used to go there and actually sort of be there with them, so
Yeah.
they got to know them a little bit. It was a really good place to be. It's a good atmosphere.
And it sounds like you got to know these people quite well.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, it's back to us again. Let me just see if I can make myself. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Really interesting stuff. Okay, so just going back to your website again, I noticed that you've worked. Actually, you've worked in a few different formats. If we think already, we've only been chatting for 20 minutes, but we've looked at Moments of Stillness. We've looked at you. We've had a chat about the process of working in a dark room. We've looked the photographs of the Western racers, and I wanted to talk a little bit about your use of a large format camera. So, were those pictures that we've just seen, were they shot digitally or were they with film?
No, they were on 35mm film.
35mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So on your website, you've put in the past that you've worked with a Sign R5 view camera. So for those people that don't know what one of those is, it's a great big enormous camera with bellows on it, and it's the kind of You put a hood over your head to see the image. It's on a big, heavy tripod, and it all looks very antiquated, but you can create some beautiful, beautiful, wonderful images with a large format camera. So yeah, you've worked with the 5.4 view camera, huge, large, bulky thing. Takes a long time to set up. That's obviously a very different process to shooting pictures with a phone. So what do you think are the unique qualities and challenges associated with shooting pictures with a large format camera versus the mobile phone, beyond the fact that you can fit a phone in your pocket and you can't fit a 5.4 camera in your pocket? Do you think there's
Well,
a qualitative difference?
yeah, just bearing in mind that many of the great landscape photographers actually did use a 5x4 camera originally, or even a bigger one, 8x10
Yeah.
plates or whatever. However, yeah, the Sinar is a lovely piece of equipment. It's great for sort of studio work from my point of view. Tried to take it out, but the wind just blows your cloth off your head. It's crazy. Anyway, it's very slow and it's very contemplative. You have to work hard to get it right. You spend a lot of time finding the right image because you don't want to buy too much expensive film. And there's something about that means that you really, I did do a lot of sort of digital photography beforehand to have a look and see what I really wanted to get, but it wasn't until I actually took the pictures on the Sinar that I realized, how they would really look. So I found when I was doing it that I became really familiar with the things that I was photographing.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I had so much time, it was like it was a very contemplative. How can I say? They sort of like became like my pets.
Yeah.
Get them out and put them on their little pedestal and kind of get them in the right light and do this, do
Yes.
that. Really, very painstaking, but it's also very adaptable. So with that, I could take a picture of myself in a mirror without seeing the camera at all, if I wanted to. Yeah, so you've got that adaptability of viewpoint. What you can do is you can move the bellows side to side, up and down. Yeah, so you can, in effect, take pictures round a corner, or make sure that you can tilt it. So you can make sure you get the whole sort of the faces right. So they're parallel or whatever you want to do, or change that indeed.
Yeah.
It's technical. It's skillful. The phone, using my phone, which I absolutely love using nowadays. I use it all the time. In fact, I very rarely take my SLR camera out anymore, which is ironic. And film, well, I haven't used it for quite a while now. Not that I won't, but, right now I haven't. Digital, the phone is quick, it's easy, I've got hundreds of images on my phone. I keep having to sort of like put them somewhere else because I fill up my phone with lots of things, so I can use them towards, it's quick, it's good for taking a study of something if I want to draw it, or what I mean, that sort of thing. But I suppose the video project was a kind of way of saying, hey, let's just stop for a minute. So I could do that with a mobile phone too. I could stop and look at something so that I could become more familiar with it.
It's interesting. I've talked to sound artists before on the Creative Network who've talked about that they've gone out with some headphones on and just put a microphone up in the trees and really listened. And I suppose it's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? You've got kind of a window through which you can focus on the natural world in this case. And of course, with a large format camera, you can be on location for half a day and come back with one image, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's have a look at some more pictures, if that's okay. I'll just see if I can pick them back up at the right place. Oh, okay. Hang on a second. Sorry, I'm going backwards here. There we go. The last of the Western racers. So what are we looking at here? Let me just remove my own face. There we go. What are we looking at here, Nadja?
Okay. I had a sort of kitchen bowl that I was using as a compost collector in the kitchen. And one day I just looked at it, I went, wow, look at that, how amazing. I've been quite obsessed with things dying and things changing. So again, transforming or metamorphosing into something else. And they just look like sort of old masters. The colours were beautiful. These are medium format, so you get that amazingly rich colour and lovely sort of point of focus as well in them, which is really, really nice. So that's purely what this is. It's kind of I think it was meant to subvert the idea of the old sort of the sumptuous kind of still lives they used to paint once upon a time, of all the wonderful things they had, to show how rich they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a Rembrandt, isn't it? They call it Rembrandt lighting, I think, when you have just one strong side light, soft. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Exactly.
So that's shot on a medium format camera. Yeah,
that is. Yeah.
And yeah, we've got some more details here by the looks of it.
Yeah. Again, these were really interesting. They were totally found. I've got a Christmas cactus, or whatever you call it. No, it's an Easter cactus actually, in my kitchen window. And when it flowers, the flowers sometimes stick to the window, so they get this sort of weird kind of translucent, and they dry.
Right.
So you get this translucence, and I really wanted to capture that as part of that whole thing of decay. I think you might have another picture as well of some sort of that one is again a close-up, and you can see, because it's taken on large format, you can see how detailed that is. It looks like cloth, like it's woven, but it's actually a dead flower.
Okay.
Okay. And this one, which I just think, immediately I went, well, they look like fairies, don't they?
Yes, yeah, they do. Yes, you're right. And
again, I'm kind of, I'm interested in the transformation of something from purely a flower and the way we see it. So someone else might see something completely different.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the last one in that sequence. Yeah, we're not doing them justice by seeing them on a small screen via a Facebook feed, but yeah, I imagine on a large scale these are very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just go back to making myself a bit smaller. There we go. Okay, now I'm hoping to be joined by Daniel very soon. So if you're watching, Daniel, do ring us up and I'll let you in, and we can find out more about your involvement in the Moments of Stillness project. But whilst we've just looked at those pictures, so you've previously stated, this is on your website.
Okay.
So when people see my work, I would like them to be made aware of our effect on our fragile environment, and to connect with the beauty and danger inherent in processes of decay. Nothing truly dies. It is only transformed. So that's a ring. That could be Daniel. So let's let him in and just ponder that for a moment. You don't need to ponder it really because you wrote it. So let me just see if I can let Daniel in. I'm not sure what this will do to the layout of our screen. Let's see. Daniel's in the green room. Let me just let him in. I'll put him to your right. Oh, we're here we go. Right, there we go. I can. Oh, you're small with me, Daniel. Really
I'm happy with that. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Dan.
Hiya.
Thanks.
I've loved listening to your chat. I've been here since 5 o'clock.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So we started and we had a look at the 1 minute kind of teaser of Moments of Stillness. And I will, if you're just joining in on this live stream, I'll play it again in a moment, certainly before we end. So yeah, just I'll make you a little bit bigger, Daniel, but not too much bigger. There you go. So just tell us, how you got involved in this project, how Nadja and Leila, your collaborator, we should mention, how they kind of told you about the project, what your brief was, and how you tackled it. It'd be really interesting to hear your side of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, it was through my connection with Somerset Film and Seed being quite new, and I saw this opportunity, and I thought it was absolutely perfect, because I've been really trying to set up something similar for myself, of going out and capturing sounds of my local area, which is North Petherton, and doing something creative with that. And when this opportunity came up to work with a collaboration, and the whole heart of it, having it's all pieced together by the community, was just fantastic. And I was just set, like, I really want to work on this. So that was brilliant, and to actually have had the opportunity was fantastic. But the initial brief was, edit, mix, and manipulate existing sound recordings from the footage, which sounds quite.
So the sounds that you had to work with was all the material that had been gathered by the community.
Yeah. So Nadja was working on the edits of the film. She would send me sections. So we started off with a morning section, and it was listening, going through the whole section, and just seeing what I could do with the sound. Really, my initial proposal was that I would take these sounds and perhaps do something creatively, like I'd done for the Burnham-on-Sea project that we collaborated on a few years ago, of actually creating sounds with samplers. And I went down that route, and I was making some interesting pads and things, but what soon came to light was there was a lot of wind in these recordings.
Right.
So it meant there's going to be a lot of work to actually try and tame or remove the wind within the recordings, which I thought was the most important part. So that's where I spent my time, is listening through and seeing what sound is, what are the beautiful sounds, what are the sounds that really capture the moment of the video. Because I felt it was because they're quite personal videos, so it was kind of, I felt really a lot of weight to sort of.
Was it like you were trespassing on somebody?
Yes. Yeah, and I had the sort of authority, or part of, to sort of go, I've got to keep this sound, or try and do. But once I got past that stage, again, actually, because my overall goal for my part of it, I wanted to create something just beautiful and captivating, and allow the viewer to just be comforted and relaxed whilst watching the entire piece. So once I acknowledged that, it was easier to work my way through the sounds. And I got to a point, once I was able to sort of tame most of the wind noise or remove the parts, it did become clear that there was quite a few gaps that I would have to fill, which is great, because as a creative, as a composer, I thought I'll create an original score for the entire film. So that was my next challenge, and I didn't make it easy on myself. I thought I'd try and make my own sampled instruments. So I am a working parent. I work from home with my children here through lockdown. So I don't get sort of, say, a whole day worth of time to work on projects. So within my moments, I was doing things like sampling a wine glass. We put water on top of the glass, and a bit like one of these.
Yeah.
I won't do it now, but I was doing things like that and making instruments out of those. Bottle, I used my voice. I had my granddad's old penny whistles and things. So I just wanted to incorporate my environment in these environments. And so that was my little challenge to myself, to incorporate my moments into these moments. So that was fun. And the other opportunity was that I got to go out and do my own field recordings. And I heard you mention it earlier about, you were saying about sound artists going out and recording and just listening to certain specific parts. And I actually had my first kind of, just my first like genuine, amazing experience of just being completely in the moment when I went to Burnham-on-Sea and recorded the boat lines down by the boats, and time just stopped, and I was just able to capture this beautiful sound and put it in the film. So yeah, throughout the film there's little bits of the boat lines. I got to spend a lot of time with the ocean there at Burnham and record it in the morning, which was a lot more blustery, and then by the afternoon it calmed down, and I was able to get some really nice still sort of ocean sounds. And the other fun one, which I've just Wikipedia'd this name, giant miscanthus, which is the giant grass which grows around. I had a nice experience recording the grass and seeing the best position in the mics, which was actually if you go into the grass, you get less wind noise. So there's a top tip.
So if you
and that was great.
See some giant miscanthus, get your mic really low near the ground. Okay.
Yeah, get low in and get inside the grass pit.
It sounds like there was a real kind of DIY kind of thing going on with the process, as in certainly in terms of making your own instruments and sounds.
Yeah, no, I just wanted it to be. I wanted, as a composer as well. I just want to try and make things more personal. There are sort of sampled library sort of pianos and stuff in there as well. But it was just whatever I felt would just create that overall sense of beauty, where you can just sort of, because without it, I thought the sound really could help to sort of connect with the viewer and get them sort of relaxed.
Yeah.
And keep it as varied as possible. Yeah, I tried to do there's quite a few different pieces in there. There's about 18 different individual cues, just so it would have a journey, really. Yeah, a sound journey.
That's fascinating, and I think everybody's really looking forward to seeing the one of the full versions, whichever one makes it. So, I know you've not got long with us, and that you're just dropping in. So, how do people find out more about you, Daniel? Because you're a Somerset artist, you're very busy being a parent too, but you do great work. So, how do we find out about you?
Yeah, please see my website. It's www.danielbirchmusic.com.
Okay.
And lots of interesting things going on. I'm very busy, always writing, so there's lots of music there to listen to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Daniel. And I doubt our paths will cross again sooner rather than later, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, great to see you both, and looking forward to sharing the whole film soon. So yeah.
Thanks, Daniel. I'll
see you soon.
Bye.
There he goes. So there's Daniel. That gave you a little moment, perhaps, to think about, responding to that.
Oh no, I'd completely forgotten about the question. Actually, I was really intent on listening to Daniel's process, actually, because we didn't have a lot to talk about his process. So,
was that new to you as well? What the process that he was?
Some of it was. Some of it. Definitely. But I will say that the best way to photograph or video miscanthus is also to get down amongst it. It's very
such expertise with miscanthus.
That's right. Yes.
So that thing. So nothing truly dies. It is only transformed. So is this an idea that you brought into the process of making Moments of Stillness?
Well, I suppose so, because there are sort of transformations that went on in our lives, didn't they? Quite a lot, and our lives changed and sort of continued along different paths, etc. And there's certainly the connecting with nature idea. So a place can be transformed by nature. There is a clip in that of some grass just poking up in a pavement, so that's like a kind of that sort of idea where it's unexpected. And it was how quick nature actually overtook the built environment. I remember going down to the playground, and it was like nature's playground. The grass was like waist high. It was beautiful. It was really amazing. So, there's an element of nature. It reminds us how much we need nature and depend on the processes of decay and change in order to sustain ourselves, in actual fact, which goes back to the kind of compost idea as well.
Yeah.
So there are elements in there, definitely.
I've had a question popping in from from an artist who I know from Somerset, Tina Salvage. Hello, Tina. Really interesting project. She says the Moments of Stillness film. How did you engage the community in the process?
Well, it mostly happened through Facebook, actually,
Through
which
social
was
media.
one of the drawbacks of it, but that was the sharing of it, basically. It was creating a page, Moments of Stillness. From that page, somebody else created a group because they came from a group called Friends of Somerset Levels and they couldn't share their stuff to us. So they created their own group, which is called Moments of Stillness as well. So that was interesting and had some fantastic videos from there because they were already kind of involved in that kind of thing anyway. So that was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be people with phones. Some people sent me on Messenger, their stuff on Messenger. One lady sent it through Amazon Photos or something. I can't quite remember which. Yeah, that exists as well, which I didn't know. So we tried to engage people in as many ways as we could. Obviously, at the other end of it. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's just interesting the way sometimes you can use social media in that kind of organic way. They talk about organic growth, don't they, of your Facebook profile or your Twitter profile? But it sounds like there was a bit of that going on. The connections were being made kind of quite and evolving quite naturally.
Yeah, we had 90 videos altogether.
Really?
I mean, that's which was it was big trying to filter it down a little bit and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought. That was amazing. That was a lot of material.
Yeah. And how do you, because I've made films myself, and you have all of your media you're going to edit together into this timeline. How do you even begin to work with 90 clips of video that you didn't make? It's not like you can shoot it and go, I know where that's going to go.
Exactly. It absolutely wasn't like that. I mean, I did make some of them, but I had my own too. But well, one, I got a lot of help from you through one of your Ignite artist seminar. I don't know what you call them, workshops, whatever. Help. I hadn't done anything like that before at all. So I've never edited a video. So I got Premiere Pro, and you helped me out to begin with to organise everything. After that, I don't know. I have this habit of working a bit instinctively. And I had an idea, which was to go through the day. So I thought, right, okay, well, look, I've got all these videos, some of which I couldn't use really because they were portrait, which was really unfortunate. And I'm still wondering whether I could do something with those. I didn't want that to be, they're better off in landscape. And we did kind of ask people to do them in landscape, but not everyone did, which is fair enough. Anyway, so those kind of got filtered out. There were only about 10 of those. So the rest of it was just a question of, I don't know, I sort of instinctively picked what I liked in terms of the visual and sometimes the sound. And occasionally I myself edited one piece of audio from one video into another video, which had bad audio because, I've got a nightingale sound that was one person's, which didn't have a particularly good video, and I've added it to another one, which is rather a nice video. So, there was all that. So I just worked in morning, afternoon and evening, and morning and evening were slightly smaller, which was good. and basically I just looked through them all and then chose the ones and just tried to make it with a slight emphasis towards the season, because it took us from spring through summer into autumn as well as that. So it was like when I
met you first, it was last summer, wasn't it? I think. Really very, very hot day. It's probably possibly around August time or something.
Yes.
Last year, and yes, I seem to remember that we had to keep socially distanced, but there was a good degree of optimism around that we would be through this fairly soon. And we weren't. But never mind. Let's not dwell on that. Let's have a look at the last few pictures that I've got queued up here, and tell us a little bit about these images. Okay, what we're looking at here. Let me just remove myself from the picture.
Okay, this is from the series The Wild Ones. I became pretty obsessed with decayed plastic, basically, and all the wild ones are, and I'm letting you know the big secret, they are actually pieces of plastic
Okay.
taken with the 5x4. I took them home, I made them my pets, made them into sort of samples or something from under the water. Because basically oil, which is where plastic comes from, comes from the little creatures that lived millions and millions of years ago under the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was kind of like they were returning to their native place, and there was a sort of a feeling, like a slightly creepy feeling, that maybe plastic was taking over the world and would one day reanimate itself.
Wow.
So that's where my idea came from, and you can see they really look like creatures. In fact, that is like quite extraordinarily like a fish.
That's amazing. Wow.
That is a plastic bottle.
Really? Gosh.
Yes, really.
Okay.
I know, and there were lots of them on this particular beach that we went to, and they just were really evocative. It took me a long time to get to the 5x4 images, mind. A lot of different experimentation with how to present them. But this way, they're kind of like specimens.
Yes.
What I kind of like about it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm looking for.
And you leave lots of empty space, I notice, in your compositions as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I felt that it was like floating in nothing or floating in water. It's out of context completely.
They're really interesting. I didn't realize I was looking at plastic objects there. Okay, let's come back to let's just whiz back through those, and we're back again. But I'll make myself a bit smaller again, I think. Hang on a moment. There we go. Brilliant. So, what are you working on now, Nadja? Are you busy on something at the moment?
Well, I'm kind of taking a slight sort of moment of stillness of my own, just step back from kind of what I've been doing, because the editing did take quite a while, quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
And also I've recently retired from actual work. So that's something I've had to get used to as well, as a different kind of time, to spend. So what I'm actually doing is I'm learning how to paint as a kind of exercise in sort of colour and composition and looking at something. I want to spend a bit of time editing my own videos, which were the beginning of Moments of Stillness. So I've got my own actual 1 minute sort of remembrance videos that I took of nature. And I'm also developing, and this was partly in conversation with Dan, actually, because he mentioned recording outside. And I've always wanted to combine stills and sound. So I had a kind of idea to go somewhere where there's a celebration or something, and just have a mic and just record snippets of conversation and take still photographs. And then to exhibit it as still photographs, but with the sounds in the actual gallery or in the space.
Interesting.
I think that would be quite an interesting thing, a sort of immersive kind of photographic exhibition, documentary type. But obviously at the moment we're a bit strapped for anywhere to go when there's a crowd or anything like that.
Yeah.
But and it could morph into something else. I'm not sure. I'm quite a slow burner when it comes to work. I have a lot of ideas, but it takes me quite a long time to get to where I want to go with them.
Well, I suppose for an artist, this is as good a time as any to reflect on, what you've been doing over the years, and to put the wheels in motion to start that next project, I suppose. But as you say, you might have to wait until later in the year to get going on that one, unfortunately.
I'm also just looking at the mythology of place, the mythologies that come out of a place. So, for instance, around here you get a lot of herons, and herons are a very evocative and kind of quite mythological sort of bird. So I'm sort of looking at that sort of thing, where these stories come from, as a sort of background, really, to the whole sort of nature thing. Because I'm not a nature photographer, don't get me wrong. I don't take pictures of lots of animals or anything like that. I haven't got the patience. I really haven't.
Yes.
I prefer the objects. The plastic as animals was great because they just stood still.
Yeah.
They did what I wanted them to do.
Brilliant. Okay, it's been really good talking to you, Nadja, and good luck with your your creative ambitions on that next project. So if it's all right, I think we'll sign off now, but I'll play that 1 minute segment again. And just keep your eye on seedsedgemoor.com for news on when the full version is going to be released, and spend some time with that lovely community film when it's released.
And if anybody knows any communities where it could be distributed, we want to make DVDs, so it could be distributed to people who can't get out, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then it's worth getting in contact with Seed if you've got any ideas of how to get it out and about.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
And you'll be able to contact them through the website. That is really great. So thank you so much. We'll thanks. Enjoyed your work. That's okay. So I'm getting a comment or two in, and we'll no doubt meet again. As we chatted a little bit before. Book an artist, Ignite Somerset artist session. It's like an advice session, usually with some kind of, always it's about some kind of digital support. But often these conversations can get quite creative. So if you visit somersetfilm.com or ignitesomerset.com, you can book a session, and that's for any Somerset-based artist, and it's at no cost to the artist. That's right, isn't it, Nadja? You didn't have to pay for that because we get.
It's fantastic.
Love the fish, says Mike. Thank you, Mike. Okay.
Thank you.
Funny because I did look at that and I assumed I didn't read anything on the website. I just assumed that we were looking at natural objects, and in a way, you said that in a way we are. I think that's really interesting. There was one, I think. Just go back to it actually before we sign off. It had little sort of not that one. Yeah, this one is really organic, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very squid or octopus like, isn't it? It's or mushroomy. I don't know.
Great. We'll look at this 1 minute sequence again, and thank you so much. And I'll see you soon, Nadja, and tune in same time, same place next month. Okay, let's find that film. Okay. Thanks, Nadja. Bye-bye.
Bye.